Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of the Jim Stroud Podcast. Today we have a very special guest. Special guest, tell us, who are you and what do you do?
Yes, Jim, I'm so happy to be here. So, special guest, Kelly Monahan. I have been studying and researching the intersection of future of work, AI, leadership in the labor markets for the last 15 years, like long before ChatGPT came onto the scene. Had a cool opportunity at big consulting at Deloitte Accenture, spent some time at Meta. And most recently now, I started my own research advisory company helping leaders navigate the future of work. And it's called Beyond the Desk.
Oh wow. Okay. Okay. Well, let me pose a future of work question to you.
Okay.
There's been a lot of talk about entry-level jobs disappearing. And I see that as companies robbing themselves of future leadership. But what are your thoughts, though?
I think you're spot on with that. The way when I consult with leaders today, here's how the metaphor I'm using is I worry they are playing checkers instead of chess. And so
Hmm.
we are worried, sure, in the short term, over the next year or two, could you potentially get some cost out of your business by using AI tools instead of hiring entry level workers? Sure, there's some areas of opportunity that companies can do that. Are you, though, in the long term, potentially jeopardizing your ability to actually win a longer term game? Absolutely. That talent, one, is going to be a lot more expensive by the time you want them and need them. Two, the other thing I don't know why we're not talking enough about is AI is also a cost. It is not some free technology. There
Right.
are token costs that occur with it. And so, anyways, the more that we ask AI to do, the more expensive that's going to get. And I don't always know of that ratio of, oh, compared to an entry level person, this is so much cheaper. I'm not sure that math is going to math either in the long term.
It's funny you said about the numbers. I saw this report. It was sort of going viral that Gartner put out,
Okay.
and they reviewed, or they spoke to, I don't know, 300 IT people. Long story short, a lot of companies that implemented a lot of the AI and laid people off as a result,
Hmm.
they looked at the return on investment and they
Yep.
thought, maybe we rushed to judgment a little bit because although AI is supposed to do the work of millions for less, we're not getting that return on investment. Have you seen that report or heard anything about it?
Yeah, and I also think that report is pointing to the elephant in the room with that. I'm having in terms of closed door conversations with executives who, one CEO pulled me aside and, said, I've spent almost $80 million in AI.
Mm.
I'm not sure what I'm gonna go tell my board tomorrow of like what we've actually done with that spend. Listen, I feel empathy for leaders. They're operating most industries today in a low to no growth environment. Macroeconomic conditions are not good. One day we've got tariffs, inflation, we've got the war going on with Iran, oil supply shock. Like there is just one macroeconomic headwind coming at companies today, regardless of the industry, that's difficult to navigate. And so leaders are desperate for that lever of like, where is, again, I think of that Staples easy button commercial. Like, where is that red easy button that I can hit to start actually having higher profit margins, start navigating with a little bit more cash on my balance sheets? That has been promised in the terms of AI. And so I think that is what leaders are chasing is because of all these macroeconomic conditions, they're looking for a path forward. The problem is the way that we're doing it, I think, is all backwards, which is why you're not seeing ROI. There's no change management, there's no skilling. And honestly, what Stanford did this research, 41% of the areas which leaders are pursuing AI are either not technically feasible or workers wanting to maintain doing that work. And so that to me is a big disconnect is we're going after the wrong areas and we have the wrong expectations of what this moment is really about.
Hmm. Okay. As you're saying that, I was the character Monty Burns on Simpsons, who
Yeah,
goes,
yeah,
"It's a,"
yes.
you know.
Yes, yes.
As you were saying that, I was thinking in my head, Smithers, how can I still get over on the workers and make more money?
Yes, yes, that's exactly you're right.
And I'm
Dude, that
thinking,
meme needs to go out with your podcast.
exactly. And I'm thinking to myself, you know what? And I know some companies have done this already.
Yeah,
They'll lay people off for some other reason, but blame AI as a
that's right.
scapegoat. And
Yep.
then my thinking is that once that blows up in their face, which I think is starting to or already has,
Yeah.
they'll just rehire people in other countries cheaper under a different job title and say, oh, no, 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 it's not really that job, it's this other job. But yeah, do this job and do it cheaper over here in this other country. I noticed that Amazon did something similar to that because in that same Gartner report, I believe it was,
Hmm.
they uh they were going to hire like 20,000 people in one quarter or something. And then later on, it was like 4,000 people. But Pisa and some other country,
Yeah,
and some, somewhere in Italy, they were like number two and three. So I was like, okay, so you're cutting this off over here and you're getting cheaper labor over there and you're blaming AI in the middle. It just
that's
seems
right.
like it's just a playbook at this point. Would you agree with that or?
Yeah, I think, and I've got this book coming out. I called it Reclaim the Plot because I think we have completely lost the plot of what people and AI are actually about in businesses. And we've completely confounded those two things. One, AI has been around since the 1950s. It's obviously gotten much better, but this has
Sure.
been technology in the background that most organizations have been running AI and machine learning probably for at least a decade in the background. And so I think there is certainly this hype cycle now that ChatGPT and generative AI is on the scene and this like so-called generalized intelligence. So one, I think we have just misappropriated where we actually are in the AI journey. It's not this like brand new shiny object technology. It's been like the slow build over time. And then when it comes to people, this is a mindset issue and this is a choice that leaders make. And they see people as a cost as opposed to an asset. And I think that has really got us backwards too on where does innovation come from? AI can do a lot of great things, but innovation at the end of the day still requires a human to problem
Hmm.
solve and produce something of value. And that to me is really, I think, the crux of the issue is we have for a long time, at least in America, figured out all the way back to blue collar work of what can we outsource? How can we get cost down? And that has cost the economy, that has cost communities. I'm from Rochester, New York. I sell Kodak, shed 45,000 jobs in a decade, and that has devastated the community. And so, like, there just needs to be a bigger frame and a bigger question than just how do we save money or how do we do things better, faster, cheaper. I think there's like an existential crisis question that, quite frankly, Gen Z is asking us as business leaders to grapple with of what good are we actually creating? What value are we creating? Is this sustainable? That sort of thing. And I don't see enough conversation happening around that today.
It's like a battle of cultures, right?
Yeah.
Like one
Yeah.
culture says, let's do what's best for our workers and the people. And the other side said, let's do what's best for our shareholders, which is
That's
maximize
right.
profit
Yeah.
by any means necessary. Is this something that can only be changed by company cultures? Because I don't really see legislation coming in to do anything
Yeah.
like that.
No, unfortunately. Now, listen, this is a fun fact most people don't realize. Back in 2019, there are business roundtables through the World Economic Forum, Davos, right? The meeting of the elite in minds where they try to solve the world's problems. I know
Yeah.
all these fancy things that happen.
Yeah.
However, in 2019, before the pandemic, there was 200 CEOs that signed a declaration and document that said shareholder wealth maximization is causing harm and that we need to start thinking a broader stakeholder view of business. And I'm
Wow.
talking, you've got CEO of Accenture, BlackRock, like your big Fortune 500 companies, 200 of them signed this document and said that they were going to pursue upskilling so that there's job creation and not just people getting displaced when technology continues to advance. That again, they would look at customer safety and employee well-being as part of ways that they would measure success. So there was all this momentum, and then the pandemic hit. And that document and that ambition, everything seems to went away. And now, to your point, with the current administration, has not necessarily made it the most. Hey, let's put people first. That has not been the mindset that we've seen.
Sure.
And so I think all of that compounding, I would love for us to go back to 2019 and resurface that document with these CEOs and say, well, where are we? Like, what happened to that philosophy and thinking? And why is that culture not a priority for you anymore today?
It seems like we got to wrap it around some sort of incentive because one
Yeah.
thing that really struck me when all the layoffs were happening,
Yeah.
still happening to a degree, but all
Yeah.
these huge tech layoffs, I'm thinking at some point somebody's got to say, if we lay all these people off, who's going to buy our stuff? You
Oh,
know,
oh,
and that seems like that
1,000%.
should be like
Right.
a big, flashing light or something.
A company that I just most recently worked for in tech has laid off 50% of their workforce over the last 18 months.
Wow.
And I can't get my head around, to your point, who's doing the work still. And then to your point, like you're still running $1 billion business. How are you going to have customers, and that sort of thing? Like to your point, that at the end of the day, again, I told you I'm from Rochester, Wegmans is a grocery store up there. Like it is like one of the best, I think, family-owned operations, and it's because they put the customer employee first as ever through the lens of how they make decisions. It's not profit; they know profit will follow. And by the way, they've become one of the most profitable um, grocery stores where profit margins are actually really slim. But they have figured out, and they do college scholarships for their workers and so forth. So there's a model and a path forward, but you can't cut your cost. You can't cut your way to growth. That's never been a business strategy. It's never worked, but somehow that seems to be the AI mantra in tech today.
I have a crazy idea, so you can validate it or poo-poo it. There's this guy who has coming close on making, I think, $1 billion.
Oh,
It's a one man company. It's him and his brother, some kind of healthcare,
yep.
telehealth company. And when I heard that, I was like, wow, where was I? Um, because he and his brother, and the help of AI, are doing all this stuff and they're making all this money. And I'm thinking that some of the larger companies are going, wow, maybe we need to lay off even more people. I don't know. But my thought was that I think we're on the edge or the dawn of an era where there won't be any more huge companies. Like we're going to have a whole bunch of small companies run by less than 10 people, but doing the work of a huge corporation because of AI's help. What do you think of that? That makes sense?
So, oh, it totally makes sense. So one, I'm gonna like comment first and then answer a question.
Sure.
This is exactly why I left the tech industry 8 months ago, is when I
Okay.
saw the ambition was to create the first $1 million company with no employees. That did not necessarily seem like the right value proposition in terms of like job creation should be part of what business does as well.
Sure.
That's just my personal opinion. However, I absolutely think the future of work is small. And I think this is a huge opportunity to democratize access to entrepreneurship, to have small
Mm,
businesses actually be the frame. Now, the only reason why we ended up these ridiculously large organizations anyway was because of the Industrial Revolution. We have decided mass production was the way to go. And we needed to take people off these small boutique craftsmanship type areas of work in order to, create this global economy. Those economics no longer make sense with AI. And so actually you're looking at these 100,000 person organizations and you think you can't move as fast as these smaller and more nimble ones. And I think you're spot on. I think this whole like, hey, let me go work for this large organization is not what Gen Z is going to do. I think we're going to see like this explosion of entrepreneurship, small businesses. My only thing is, as we pursue all this and as you can have AI agents do the work, don't forget about the humans who also need employment. Like, how do we do this so it's AI agents and humans working together? I don't necessarily know if we need 100,000 person organizations, but I don't love the ambition of I'm a one person show making $1 billion. How does that help the economy more broadly?
what does that do to the price of things? If everybody's
Right.
making $1 billion, then a cheeseburger is going to be $100
Right.
at
Absolutely. The law of
McDonald's.
supply and demand. Like these economics also don't make sense long term.
Yeah, for sure. Tell me about Reclaim the Plot, your new
Yeah.
book.
Yeah, so I'm so excited about it because, I've been, like I said, been studying this for the last 15 years. And my thesis is we've lost the plot of just how to be leaders today. Like we've just lost the evergreen, dare I even say common sense way of
Mm,
leading organizations. We have all this like rich history of business process, engineering, and we know how to, lead people. And we know putting people first creates longer term profits, all this stuff. But it's like we have amnesia right now as soon as AI has come onto the front stage, and we have pursued that at the cost of people. And so, like, I haven't seen when cloud computing came out or robotic process automation came out, I didn't see the same delirium, as I call in
yeah.
the book, towards the
Hmm.
technology and what it can do. And so, instead of creating more research, because I'm a researcher, I decided to storytell because I've seen patterns at Accenture, Deloitte, Meta, Upwork, where leaders are pursuing technology at the expense of people. And so I've created a fictional company called Driftwell that it's like a Succession TV show meets an Adam Grant or Brene Brown book. And we walk through and see and understand. And I hope at the end of the day, readers walk away with empathy towards the C suite as well and the board members who are putting a lot of this pressure on. Because I've been in these rooms, I've heard the discussions. It's not bad people trying to do bad things. It's just really good people who are burned out, stressed, and are desperate to make more money. And that equation has actually set us up for a lot of failure when it comes to AI adoption.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't remember the psychological term for it,
Okay.
but there is a word, a phobia around AI. Let's just say
Oh,
AI phobia. It's an
okay.
actual psychological word for it.
Okay.
And I wonder sometimes, is it justified? Because
Mm,
so much change is happening now. We've gone through changes before. Uh,
yeah.
uh, I'm thinking in our lifetime, the internet, that's a
Sure.
whole paradigm
Yeah.
shift. But this AI transformation is just so fast and so vast. I understand why some people are intimidated or just putting their head in the sand. I can see the worker standpoint from it,
Hmm.
dealing with it, but I can also see leadership standpoint because
Yeah.
the earlier point, you spend all this money on AI and what are you getting for it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Not implementing it right. Do you think people are justified in being fearful of AI in
Yeah.
the future, or do you think they should just relax and learn to love the bomb?
Ooh, that's a good loaded question. So yes, I'm going to answer truthfully. I think people have the right to feel fearful right now, and here's why. There's two reasons I see as like root causes. One, there's not a lot of trust in the technologies and companies who are making AI. We have very few choices. Like if you want to use AI today, you need to either go through Meta, Google, Anthropic, or OpenAI. And we've got this lovely, like, really nasty lawsuit happening between OpenAI and Anthropic,
Oh
anyways, that's
yeah.
happening in real time, right? Like,
Oh yeah.
so it's like you see this, and I think as a user, you're thinking, do I actually trust these 4 to 5 companies, right? Like, that is just in general a question. These are not companies that have been around for 150 years. Like, these are somewhat fairly new organizations. And then
Hmm.
we can, I think there's been a lot of mistrust with social media and the way that Meta has used data in the past. And now we're giving it all this additional information. So, one, I think there's just a big trust issue in terms of the companies who control this, who are designing it, who are like very bullishly leading us very quickly into the future. The second thing is, I think where the mistrust is coming from is employees are seeing leaders do layoffs because of AI. Now, whether or not those layoffs are actually because of AI, I think the jury's still out. However, that is the narrative, and that's what dominates the headlines. And so I think because of those two factors, like, can you even see there was a report that recently came out that showed Gen Z purposely miscoding some of the AI within their
Yeah.
organization.
Yeah.
And part of me is like, you know what?
Yeah.
Human agency at the end of the day. I am all about human agency. And so I think once we can rewrite those two factors, either have more democratization of who's providing AI tools or have a better trustworthy brands come out. And as I think we start seeing leaders not lay off people as a result of this technology, I think that's going to be some signaling that I think a lot of people are waiting for.
And I heard that story, and I'm very familiar with the story
Yeah.
that you mentioned there. I was thinking that you could reverse that easily,
Yeah.
remove the sabotaging if
Yeah.
you somehow um, found a super economist that can figure this out and say, okay, you work at company X, and we're going to train our AI on your reports and your work. And every time we use something that you've contributed, you get zero point 0.3 cents,
Sure.
you know. And so over time, you get a royalty check. And when you leave the
That's right.
company, you still get a royalty check because
I
our
think it's
AI is
brilliant.
built on your brain. I think if somebody could figure that out and put that on their career page, people will jump because they're like, okay, I can work there, get paid, and then leave and still get paid, like a pension kind of thing. I
Yep.
think that would go over well. What do you think? Is that crazy or?
Jim, I know. I think it's the most brilliant thing I've heard in a long time when it comes to AI. To be fully honest with you, I'm like,
Thank you.
again, boom. Because I think where the frustration, we go back to lack of trust too, is the ugly reality is this technology, this chat GPT that we have that people are obsessed with is built on stolen IP. Like
Yeah.
this doesn't exist unless the IP was stolen to train the data.
Yep.
And to your point, that is continuing to persist in organizations of let me track your keystrokes, let me see, monitor exactly how you're doing your job so AI can then do it. But to your point, I would do that if I know there's a longer term royalty or a commission check that's coming. And I think that is the equation that no one has solved for. And who in their right mind would train a technology to do their job and lessen their ability to earn income? I don't think
Exactly.
most people like. So I think what you come up with is a really good idea.
Well, I hope someone's listening and I hope they do it. And I hope
Yeah,
they
I
come on
hope
the
so too.
podcast and talk about it.
Yes, that's right. That's right, Jim.
Um, 5 years into the future,
Yeah.
and AI is in the workplace because we know it's not going anywhere, no
Yeah.
matter how we feel about it.
Sure.
What's a healthy relationship like, you think, in the office between the average worker and the AI? And I'm thinking in my mind about that show, The Office, and how there will be a TV comedy about AI in the workplace.
Oh,
How do you
absolutely.
envision that relationship between humans and AI 5 years from now?
Yeah, 5 years from now. So that would take us to 2031. Um, I think there's an I'm going to give you an optimistic 5 year pattern and then a more pessimistic because I think it honestly depends on the design choices we're making right now of what the next 5 years looks like. Optimistic, the whole goal of this is to get humans to do what only humans can do. And that is to actually have real empathy for one another and the customer. That is to provide exceptional experiences and services that really become these like magical moments in a customer or talent, journey life cycle. It is to be innovative and creative. So like in 5 years, AI should be doing what, David Graeber famously called bullshit work and bullshit jobs that most white collar knowledge service workers, probably to
Mm,
some degree, if we were honest, like qualify a bit for. AI should be taking on a lot of that work, which oftentimes is repetitive, transactional, brings people no real humanness, right?
right.
That should be then what humans are doing. And then there should be new value markets and there should be new types of jobs, that sort of thing occurring. So I'm cautiously optimistic. That's where we're heading towards. I'm also pessimistic when I see leaders making decisions they are playing checkers and not chess, is that we do end up with a broader inequity that's occurring in our labor markets where we have the have and haves not. That delta grows quite a bit bigger and the K-shaped economy continues to grow in that direction. And that we've got a lot of people who are struggling with finding work and getting into that middle class, if you will.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that in that scenario, people have to make a decision. There's still a lot of labor market opportunity for the trades and healthcare and teaching and like areas that AI is less likely to disrupt to the same degree. And so, how do we then get people transitioned and moving? And so, I think in 5 years from now, our labor markets could look vastly different. Right now, the holy grail jobs went from being a doctor, lawyer to a Wall Street investment banker to then being in tech. What is that next job in 5 years? It might not be a computer based knowledge work. That might actually end up being a plumber, construction electrician who's making 200,
Sure.
300,000 a year because there's so few and actually that need becomes so great.
Yeah. 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 I could see that. What I would like to see in either scenario, and
Yeah.
this is probably a business opportunity for someone, so
Okay.
just send me a royalty check, whoever
Yeah, that's
does this.
right.
There should be some sort of charm school
Yeah.
for workers, how to become more interpersonal, how to be
Yes. I
more
love that.
compassionate, more human. There's a lot of emphasis on how to learn technology, which, you got to do that,
Yeah.
but I think there are people who, according to TikTok videos,
Yeah.
have an impulse control uh, problem, or they have an entitlement problem, or they don't have a patience problem, or they just don't know how to relate to people. There's no
Sure.
conflict resolution skills
Yeah. That's right.
being promoted out there en masse, not at least, not to the degree I think it should be. So I
Yeah.
think that however way things go, whether it's dystopic or utopian, there needs to be some sort of charm school so people can learn how to talk to people, how to be with people, because we're so used to being on machines. This generation, uh, they grew up on the machines, as I call them, right?
Yeah.
So they don't know a time where you just went outside and played outside and you didn't come home to the lights, the street lights came
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Yes, it's like a totally foreign concept to so many kids nowadays, because they're so used to just, iPad, iPhone, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I really would like to see a resurgence of that. Teach
Yeah.
people how to be more human, how to connect with folks more. Maybe that's a
Yeah.
little, I don't know, touchy feely, but I think it could be. I think is needed. What do you think?
Uh, Yeah, what's so interesting, Jim? Yes, and I actually love the name of the charm school too. I think it's a great. I think you should like trademark that probably after this episode and sell the rights. Maybe franchise it out. But I think two things. One, like an area that actually gives me hope as an example is Netflix. And I know this sounds like obscure for a second, but Netflix is such a digital technology company. And yeah, obviously we all watch movies and shows, but what they're betting now on is in-person experiences. And so they've opened Netflix houses in Philadelphia, and I think there's one in Texas. And it's all about bringing people together in community
Hmm.
and we're kind of reinsurging, to your point, that human connection. Because I think to what you just said, like about that, this generation, not only are they digital native, but they also went through during the time their prefrontal cortex is developing the pandemic. And that was isolation. And so there
Yeah.
was also not a lot of human connection at that time. So I think that's spot on. And the second thing is, I find this kind of alarming when I give keynotes. I ask, hey, where's your wisdom training in your organization? You all want like people to be wise today, right? Like, are you assuming people have this naturally, or like, are you training and teaching this? And I get these
Hmm.
like blank stares and almost like uncomfortable laughs. But I think to your point, like we have lost the ability to be civil with one another. So, we
Yeah.
have a 50-50 polarized workforce. Every communication you're going to send out is going to be loaded to a degree. Someone's going to interpret it. Like, to your point, how do you then have conflict resolution? How do you have civility? How do you bring back even kindness when there's disagreement? We just like assume people have these and we haven't, and we've lost it. And dare I say, like technology's actually made the worst of our human qualities amplified, not necessarily the best. And so we have to fix that to a degree. And I'm just shocked that there is no charm school training. That should be the number one thing, along with AI, that organizations are focused on today.
Yeah, it's definitely I think to your point, is definitely a trend. As you said that, I'm thinking about a recent article that I wrote in my newsletter, The Recruiting Life,
Okay.
about how
Yes.
dating apps are suffering. So they're doing more in-person events to
Yeah.
get the singles and to spark love,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. And I said that job boards would do something similar because uh, with dating apps, from what I hear, there's a lot of swipe left,
Yeah.
tons of people not being approached for whatever reason. And with job boards, there are a lot of applies, but a lot of those are ghost
Mm,
jobs. So
that's
I
right.
was pointing out different similarities in how I think job boards will eventually have to do more in-person career fairs or something,
Yes.
to really um, resonate with their audience the same way dating apps are doing more in-person single events. So I think it's definitely what you said is right. It's definitely a trend.
Yes, 100%. And that will probably actually get very costly and charge a premium now to actually get this back together in person, which is kind of, again, an interesting business model.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Time is creeping up on us. I think I
Okay.
could talk to you forever.
Oh my God, this is so fun. I'm like, where else do you want to go?
Well, if somebody want to reach out to you and ask questions about your book or
Yeah.
about your expertise in general, how can they find you online?
Yeah, so I'm really active on LinkedIn. Come find me on LinkedIn, Kelly Monahan. And then if you want to learn more about the book, we're going to have a lot of fun resources. It's coming out this fall in September. You can go to reclaimtheplotbook.com and you can contact me there, get in touch, whatever you need. We're here. My business is here to help leaders navigate. Like as much as I beat up on leaders all the time, I have a lot of empathy. Like most people are trying to do the right thing. And my whole job right now is to help you obviously reclaim the plot.
Very good, very good. Make it easier. I'll put it in the podcast description. So
Okay, cool.
if you're listening or watching, look in the description. The information is right there. Kelly Monahan, thank you so much for your time. I do appreciate you being on the Jim Stroud podcast.
Yes. Thank you for having me. This was awesome.
Well, my time is up. I thank you for yours. I'll see you again real soon right here with a brand new episode of the Jim Stroud Podcast. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to reach out to me. I can be reached by email at jimstroud@jimstroud.com. And one last favor, if I may ask, please rate this podcast. 5 stars is preferred, but please comment with your honest opinion. I really appreciate that. All right? Okay, until next time, bye-bye.